Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Candid Conversations with Shawanna. I am your host, Shawanna Kendrick, and I am so grateful to have with me today Miss Jerri Sutton. Jerri is someone who embraces her community, cherishes, her community, and absolutely adores the community she serves as captain in the Chattanooga Police Department. Jerri, thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem. I look forward to it.
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to dive right in. As I mentioned, Jerri is a captain with the Chattanooga Police Department, and I specifically asked her if we could have a conversation surrounding being a Black woman in law enforcement. So, Jerri, my first question for you is probably the easiest one. How long have you been in law enforcement?
So I am in my 21st year. I started the Chattanooga Police Department in May of 1999, and it has been quite a ride.
I can only imagine. So that's going to lead us right into the next question, and that is, what in the world prompted you or put the desire in your heart to become a police officer?
So this definitely was not my first choice. Just like most kids, as a little girl, I had dreams, and my dream was to become a professional entertainer. I wanted to sing and perform, and I can tell you, I don't have a lick of talent to do either one. And so, after graduating college with a degree in public relations, my intentions were to move to Orlando, Florida, and try to get on with the Orlando Magic. Um, as fate would have it, family obligations and illness brought me back to Chattanooga. I had to check on my dad, and so I came back to help my mother with my father, and ended up staying. Here I am.
Wow, I had no idea you had this entertainment background and was looking at going down to the Orlando Magic. Oh my gosh, you learned so much through Candid Conversations. So obviously, this is something that you have grown to love, and you correct me if I'm wrong in saying that. But I feel like you're very passionate about the work that you do. I don't believe that you have gone through the ranks without any challenges. What are some of those challenges that you faced, especially being a Black woman?
Well, so I would say that in a lot of ways, I had some pluses in my favor. I ran track in college. Well, I ran track in high school and college. I've been an athlete since the age of probably 12. So being brought up in a culture of teamwork, athleticism, challenges, and rewards, I guess I had the mentality from the very start to do this job. I actually applied for law enforcement before I graduated college. Not that I had a real interest in it, but it was like, if all else fails, let's go to plan F. you know. Um, so once I moved back home, the city actually contacted me and asked me if I wanted to renew my application. And back then, you could submit just a blank application. And then when positions became available for areas that you check, on the application box, they will call you and say, this position is available. Are you interested? And one of those boxes that I checked was law enforcement. And so they called me and asked me if I was available. And at the time I was. I just had a little boy. And I was not able to come back to Chattanooga and get into PR in the way that I wanted to. And so when this became available, I said, well, I can do 5 years on the street and then move into PR or move into a government position, which allows me to do PR. And so I did. I went through the academy. I was the only female in my academy, and the guys did not hold back on me at all, which I was happy about that because I didn't want to be treated differently. And I knew that the world wasn't going to treat me differently just because I was a woman. But again, having that athletic background, I'm a competitor. I'm a natural born competitor. So being in class and being with the guys, I was like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna let you outdo me. And so I've taken that same competitive spirit each time that opportunities have presented itself for me to be promoted or to move in positions that I wanted to grow in. And so it has worked well for me, and I can attribute my success to that. But at the end of the day, we all know that when God orders your steps, when he designates you to walk a certain way, when he appoints you for a specific position, he's going to put obstacles in your way, but he's just growing you to where he wants you to go. And I believe that wholeheartedly. So, yes, God has definitely charted my path.
Gotcha. And if I'm not mistaken, you were somewhat in a public relations role within CPD as PIO, maybe 15, 20 years ago. Is that pretty
Oh,
accurate?
Shawanna, slow down. I'm not that old.
Okay,
No,
maybe 12, 10, 5.
yeah, it was 10 years ago. I used to be the public information officer as a sergeant. I was Sergeant Weary at that time, and I stayed there for nearly 6 years as PIO. And then, of course, because of promotion, moved out of that position and became the director of training as a lieutenant. It's regardless of the position, communication is key, especially in this job. So I've taken that skill with me from position to position. But I will honestly say I enjoyed being the PIO. I enjoyed making sure that the community understood what happened and what we were doing about it.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So here recently, obviously, there have been a number of protests uh,
Mm-hmm.
in response to what happened to George Floyd earlier this year, and several other things that we've been made aware of through social media, traditional media, you name it, the news. We have been made aware of quite a few things that have happened that are, quite frankly, unsettling for a lot of people. And that has brought even more attention to the Black Lives Matter movement. There is one picture in particular that stands out to me when I think about you and what you stand for and what you believe in. And it happened during one of the local protests, and peaceful protest, peaceful march. And Jerri, you took a knee. You were in uniform, and you also took a knee. There were several other officers, your peers, who took knees as well, and that spoke volumes. As a result of that, what's been the response that you've received, whether that be positive comments from the public and your peers, or in maybe even in some cases backlash? What has been the response that you've received so far?
It's been a mixed response, mostly good. There were some negative comments. I wholeheartedly understand that because everybody has a different view on the movement, on the kneeling, on the protest, on the right to protest. Everybody has differing views. But holistically, the response to that was positive.
Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. Why did you feel it necessary to even take that stance? Is that something you had planned to do? Is it something that just it struck you at that moment to do? What prompted you to do that?
Well, definitely was not planned. I just say that it was not planned. Um, so going back to what I said earlier about being designated to walk in this position, I can tell you again, it was not my first plan or my immediate desire to become a police officer. But once I did get into this profession, I prayed about it. I prayed about it, and my daddy was so mad at me. He was so mad at me. He said, how in the world do I send you off to college for 4 years and then you come back and want to be a police officer? And I had to tell him after I prayed about it, I said, Daddy, I am okay and I am going to be just fine. God has blessed this and you need to be at peace at it because I'm at peace with it. And so understanding that God put me in this position to be a servant leader, that means a lot. I work for the people. I'm in this job to protect and serve the people. Now, I'm not in patrol anymore, so I'm not on the street answering calls, but I direct those people who do answer calls. And we answer calls of the people. And so at the protest, after having gone through, the last few previous nights of hearing, a lot of negative things about police, I wondered prior to going to that particular instance, what can we do to let them know that we stand with them, we are here for them, we are working for them, not against them. And in that very moment, one of the protesters looked at me as the group was yelling, take a knee, take a knee. And the lady looked at me and she said, don't you stand against police brutality? And I said, yes, I absolutely do. Absolutely do. I do not condone that in any form, shape, or fashion whatsoever. And so she said, take a knee. And so I took a knee because I personally wanted, having seen everything and heard everything, it was just not in my constitution not to be true to my role. And it was important for the people to see that the officers of the city of Chattanooga support them and understand the fear. But we are not one who wants to give the air that we are perpetrating these types of acts. And where mistakes are made, we're willing to step up to the plate and answer for that. So in taking a knee, it was a knee of solidarity and letting the citizens know, yes, we are here for you. There was no political agenda. I'm not running for mayor. Let me reiterate that. I am not running for mayor. My name is not on the list. I didn't sign any paperwork. You will not see a YouTube video of me talking about running for mayor. I live in the county, so I'm not running for mayor. So it was not for political reasons whatsoever. It was fully in support of letting the citizens know that this police department truly does care about them. And some of my coworkers joined me. I think, and I can especially say this about the two guys that took a knee with me. Every night on that line, they took the opportunity to speak to people and to hear them and answer their questions. So it wasn't some popularity show or, us trying to get a photo op. No, we took a knee because we believe in the citizens of Chattanooga. We believe in our mission to protect and serve. And we were not only there to protect them so that they could protest peacefully, but also to hear their pain, their anxiety, their fears, and answer those questions.
Jerri, I absolutely love that. I commend you. I will tell you, it brought tears to my eyes when I saw the video and the pictures that were going viral at that time. And it was for some of the same reasons that you mentioned. Non-political, but we hear you and we're really all in this together.
Yes.
Is there opportunity for improvement or change? I think we
absolutely
can agree with that, right? Like that's a thing.
Yes.
And that's within any area, whether it be the criminal justice system, hospitals and healthcare, or education, there is always room for improvement. But at that moment, that was a powerful statement. Without uttering words, that was a very powerful statement. So I commend you for having the courage, and your colleagues for having the courage to do that. That took a lot. So obviously, African-American woman, you have risen through the ranks. There is a need across law enforcement agencies across the nation for a more diverse population of cadets to enter the force. But because this platform is all about women, I'm going to ask specifically what advice you could give or what you could share with younger women to encourage them to consider law enforcement. Because like you said, you went to school for public relations. So,
Yeah. Um, so I would say to women of any color, but especially to Black women, number one, be fearless. I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep going back to it. When God ordains you to do something, you cannot be fearful of that because He has a plan. And oftentimes, when it's not even law enforcement, but just our daily walks, we fear challenges. We're like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. When God says go, when He says move, you have to move. So I say that in terms of law enforcement, don't be afraid of everything that's been painted in this box and go, oh no, I can't do that. I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens me. So if you have an interest in this profession, by all means, pray about it and then dive in, because we are going to train you. We are going to teach you. We are going to mentor you through the process, not just
oh no, Jerri, I think I lost you.
police department has some of the best training in the state of Tennessee. And I would even go as far as to say some of the best training in the Southeast. And I know this because other departments are constantly coming and cherry picking us, taking all of our good people. So, but as you said, could we be better? Absolutely. And we want to be better. I hope that citizens understand that when you talk about top-notch training, you're also talking about big dollars. And so we try to send individuals to go get that top-notch training and then bring it back to the department so we can spread the cookie around. But that too costs money, and we don't want to stretch the citizens of Chattanooga unduly for things that we don't necessarily need training in versus other things that we need better training in. So we try to make sure that, we use that equitably to address the issues that we have of the day. So, yeah.
No, that was great. That was great. I'm glad you shared all of that. And I think, that applies to all of us in whatever line of work we're in or considering pursuit of. Do it fearlessly and stand boldly, because again, like you said, what God has ordained for us, for each of us individually, is what God has ordained. So, I mean, you can do it now or you can do it later.
I will say this. I have seen myself change a lot as a woman being a police officer. And I think a lot of that is because God has exposed me to a lot of situations and circumstances where I could honestly say, thank you, God, for blessing me that I didn't have to go through that. But thank you, God, also for allowing me to be a blessing to the person who is going through that so that I can help them. And I've gotten a lot of strength from that, and I've gotten a lot of confidence in myself in knowing that I can do this thing and I can help other people too. It's not all about Jerri. Jerri's growing from it and getting better, but it's not all about Jerri. It's about helping somebody else, and that is one of the most invigorating feelings there is. It's not enough credit giving to charity and contributing to the lives of other people. You get blessed from being a blessing to other folks. I cannot say that enough. Even when you are going through your worst times and some of your darkest days, you situations where you can sit back and go, you know what? I am thankful and I am blessed that I don't have to do X. Even though I'm going through C, I don't have to do X. So thank you, God.
I love that. Jerri, thank you so much. I appreciate you for sharing this part of your story and your journey with us. As usual, I'm always in admiration of you and awe of you because I'm like, I don't know how she does it. Maybe one day I'll get there, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm still a work in progress. But thank you. Thank you for being you. And thank you for setting the example that you are setting in our community. Because I do believe people see you, whether they say anything about it or not. I do believe there are people who are watching who see you and who are in many ways learning to follow a similar path. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I appreciate you. And thank all of you for tuning in. We appreciate you for joining us for Candid Conversations with Shawanna. We will end the month on breast cancer awareness, and we have a special young lady who will be talking with us about her journey, which is very different from a lot of the stories that we hear about. So thank you guys again. Stay tuned. We're always doing fun things, and we'll continue to do that as well. Have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time of day it may be.